السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبعد, we're going to continue inshallah. We're going to repeat a little bit from last time. Last time it was some papers were missing from the class, and then there was a lot of side talks, so it would be too hard to edit the video. So just maybe repeat it and finish series tonight inshallah. Okay, so before we start again, I should, like every time, I shall remind you with the brothers and sisters, please keep them in your dua. Keep them, if you can support them by any means, do it. If there is an event that you can an event that you can attend, please do. If you can donate, please do. If you can make dua, please do. Do not give up on them. Things are still going, and subhanAllah, it seems that things are going to escalate. Like, and in many other spots, not only in this spot in the Muslim world, it will be, things are getting more and more. It will not end. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, but this will be better for the Muslims at the end. Okay? When we stopped last time, we stopped at the enhancements that happened to the Mushaf writing, right? We said that the first stage, when the Mus'haf was compiled, or the Mus'hafs were written during the era of Uthman radiallahu anhu. And then those Mus'haf, those copies that were sent to the major cities, had two attributes. First attribute, or first thing, or first characteristic, is that they had some special writing for some of the words and letters. Okay? Generally speaking, it was in accordance with what Quraysh, or was how Quraysh used to write. Okay? So, and you remember in the hadith when Uthman told them, okay, so you have this committee of 4 writing, and then 3 of them were from Quraysh, and the third and fourth, Zayd ibn Thabit, was from Al Ansar, and told them, if you disagree on something, write it the way Quraysh writes, right? So this is the first attribute. The second attribute is that those mushafs didn't have any dots, didn't have any harakat, didn't have any number of ayahs, nothing like that. Okay, it was just plain text. And we mentioned this before, like if someone who is Arabic by nature, he can read something that's written without dots and without harakat. Okay, yes, there might be some possibilities, but he will not read it wrong, right? And so the first thing that happened was adding harakat. After the Islamic land spreaded and extended, now we have a lot of non-Arab speakers became Muslims. And now they started to learn Quran. Now they need to learn Quran. Now need to read Quran. Abu al-Aswad al-Du'ali, rahimahullah ta'ala, and Abu al-Aswad, rahimahullah ta'ala, started Arabic grammar. Like the one who started documenting it or writing it as a knowledge is Abu al-Aswad al-Du'ali, rahimahullah ta'ala. And he was directed to do that by Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. Ali ibn Abi Talib told him, see, Arabs has some rules when they speak. They don't just speak arbitrarily, they have some rules that they follow. Yes, those rules are not documented, those rules are not written, but we know them by nature. We don't need to put an effort to know them. This is if you're an Arab, if you're born an Arab and you speak Arabic. If you're not, you need to know these rules. So Abu al-Aswad started putting those rules. Then he made the signs for the harakat, okay? Like the fatha, dhamma, kasra. He started making this. And this was later. During the time of Banu Umayyah. Okay? What happened is that one of the governors, whose name is Ziyad ibn Abi, asked him, told him, look, we have now a lot of non-Arabs who need this to read properly. Then Abu al-Aswad didn't, he was a little bit hesitant. I told him no. Then he heard someone reciting, وأذان من الله ورسوله يوم إلى الناس يوم الحج الأكبر أن الله بريء من المشركين ورسوله. So Abu al-Aswad said, now, if you recite it this way, من أن الله بريء من المشركين, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free, or it has nothing to do with the mushrikeen. And if you say ورسوله, and it has nothing to do with his prophet, like he totally messed up the meaning, right? So I said, no, it doesn't go that way. وأن الله بريء من المشركين ورسوله أيضا بريء من المشركين, and his prophet also, or his messenger also, has nothing to do with the mushrikeen. So he went back to Ziyad and told him, look, I'm going to do that, but help me with the writing. I need someone who writes with me. So he started putting a way to show this, to show the Dhamma Kasra Fatha. First, it was done by dots, like what Abu al-Aswad did. Those were dots. What he did is that he made, if a dot above the letter, then it's Fatha. A dot under the letter, then it's Kasra. A dot in front of in the letter, like see, for example, a ba and just a dot beside it, then this is Dhamma. Okay? Now remember, dots were not there. They were plain, like ba, ta, tha, ya are written the same way. Okay? Then, again, Muslims increased. Now, a lot of non-Muslims a lot of non-Arabic Muslims are becoming Muslim and need to recite the Quran, need to read the Quran. And then their mother tongue is not Arabic, so they can see the word, but they cannot figure it out, right? So Abu al-Aswad's student, one of his students, whose name is Nasr ibn Asim, he was directed by Al-Hajjaj. And we saw Hajjaj was a tyrant. But being a tyrant doesn't mean that he didn't do some good stuff. Normally tyrants do some disastrous stuff, but they always blended with some good stuff. Anyway, Hajjaj told him, we need to figure this out. So what Nasr ibn Asim did, started added dots on the letter, and his criteria was not to exceed 3 dots. Like ba, ta, tha, that's it. Then that's why for ya, we have dots down, not up, right? Then we needed to change those dots for harakat to be like dashes, like fatha, dhamma, and kasra. Right? Then this was changed. Later on, Al-Khalil ibn Ahmad al-Farahidi, rahimahullah ta'ala, added the hamza, like the hamza, the hamza. There's not alif and there is hamza, so he added like alif hamza al-qatra, hamza al-wasl, so he added the hamza, added the shadda, and the other enhancements. Then after that, the surah names, the ayah count, signs where to stop and to start, those were added later on. Look, those changes didn't affect how the words were written by Uthman and the Sahaba of him, radiyallahu anhum jami'an. They're written the same way. What we did is just we added the dots and we added the harakat. But it's the same skeleton, if you want to say. And this is normal. Like, people have skills. When you lose this skill, you need something to supplement this skill. Right? Like now, in our era now, we have in our Mus'haf, we have it color coded, right? For the rules of tajweed, right? You have this depending on the version you're reading from, but you can see, for example, green is for ikhfa, blue is for idgham, and so on, right? Why? Because the skill is lost. We don't have the skill as people used to have, right? Here comes a question. Like we said, that those enhancements didn't change the way the Mus'haf was written. Is it mandatory to follow this writing? Okay. Scholars have different opinion about the source of this writing. Was it directed by the Prophet ﷺ, or was this something that the Sahaba agreed to? Okay. Majority of scholars see that this was a convention by Uthman radiallahu anhu and the Sahaba. Okay, and they agreed to it and they fixed it that way. Okay, so it must be followed, and it's not acceptable to write the Quran, write the Mus'haf in another way. You cannot write it in the same way we write our Arabic text now, like traditional Arabic. No, you're not allowed to do that. A Mus'haf is written in a specific way. You don't change it. Okay?
Did you say Uthman wrote it with the harakat and the dots?
No, I'm taking, no, without harakat, without just what we just said now. His Mus'haf was without harakat, without dots. And then we added those because the skills were lost, right? And then, but the end of the day, the same way that you're writing Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is written the same way as Uthman did. At-Tawrah is written the same way. At-Tabut is written the same way. All the words are written the same way. What we added are the dots and the harakat. Okay? I think I mentioned this before, but let's touch on it quickly. So those scholars who said no, this is actually from the Prophet ﷺ said, look, the Sahaba who wrote Quran written in front of the Prophet ﷺ, and anything that's related to the Quran is from the Prophet ﷺ unless proven otherwise. Okay, the others said no, it's clear in the Hadith that Uthman told them, write it, and if you disagree, write it the way Quraysh writes, because this is the Quran was revealed primarily in the tongue of Quraysh. Right? Ashab reported that Malik rahimahullah ta'ala was asked, can the Mus'haf be written accordance with the new way people are writing now? He said no, only as per the first writing, like the writing by Uthman radiallahu anhu. Abu Amr al-Dani said no one opposed or disagreed with Malik rahimahullah ta'ala from the nation scholars. Not from the nation scholars disagreed with Imam Malik regarding this. Imam Ahmad also said it's not permissible to not follow the Uthmanic writing or the writing of Uthman in a waw or an alif or a ya or anything else. And same is mentioned in the books of Hanafis and Shafi'is. Okay. Again, we mentioned that this is the ruling for the Mus'haf, for a Mus'haf. Like if you're writing on a black or white board to teach children or something, no, you have some flexibility. But if it's a Mus'haf, then it's a Mus'haf. Okay. So we have some rulings regarding the Mus'haf. Now moving on to the ruling regarding the Mus'haf as a Mus'haf. Okay. First thing is not to touch it without ablution. Okay. And this doesn't include a translation. Like if you have an English translation for the Quran, it's not a Mus'haf. If it's a tafsir book, it's not a Mus'haf. If it's a book that contains some ayat, it's not a Mus'haf, right? The Torah or the Gospel are not Mus'haf, even if they are Allah's words, right? Again, there is the Torah and the Gospel that we have today initially are Allah's words. Yes, they edited them, they changed, they tampered with them, but again, there is some part of it which is actual Allah's word. Two things, it has been tampered with a lot. The second thing, it's not the original language, right? Second thing is that do not touch it with an impure hand. Like let's imagine someone got
oil from eating fries or something.
No, this is not impurity. I'm talking about najasa. Okay, like someone has some blood on his hand or some urine for like he was changing for a kid or something and had some urine on his hand or something. Do not touch the Mus'haf, even if you're on a state of wudu, right? Third thing, do not travel with it in the land of war. There's a land of war, you not travel with the Mus'haf there. Why? To preserve the Mus'haf. Those kuffar can easily get it. Like you're not guaranteed that you're going to win this battle. Right? No guarantee. You can get defeated and they can take the Mus'haf and they can
desecrate it or
desecrate it or destroy it or insult it or whatever. So no, preserve the Mus'haf. Second, fourth thing, do not write it with impurities. Right? Like let's say hypothetically, there is some kind of ink that is done by being mixed with the feces of an elephant. Hypothetically, then do not do that. Okay? I told you before in another class that a way of doing magic and witchcraft is actually writing the Quran with menses blood. There's some sort of black magic. That's how they do the black magic. So you must preserve Mus'haf from najasat and from dirt, like anything that's not clean, preserve the Mus'haf from it. And if a person intentionally throws a Mus'haf into najasa or into a dirt, like throw it in the garbage or something like that, this is kufr. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. This is ridda. Okay? Or if someone disrespects someone, like insult it or kick it or something like this, also kufr. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Another thing, do not write the Mus'haf where it be subject to disrespect. Okay? Another thing, do not write it in tiny handwriting. A form of glorifying the Mus'haf is to write it in a clear handwriting, not in a tiny handwriting. And this is disliked, and this ruling was reported about Umar radiallahu anhu and Ali radiallahu anhu. They actually said, no, do not write Quran in very tiny handwriting, no, write it in a proper handwriting. Do not use it as a pillow, like not put the Mus'haf and put your head on it to sleep, or a weight or a cushion or something like that. No. Glorify the Mus'haf, respect the Mus'haf. Okay? It is disliked to write it on curtains, like write some ayahs on curtains is something that's disliked. And it's disliked to extend your leg towards it, right? Or put it behind you, like put the Mus'haf behind you. Or if you find, for example, you have this Mus'haf stand, you're putting the Mus'haf, do not step over it if you want to cross from here to there. No, find another way, or raise the Mus'haf and move, and so on, okay? It is disliked to put it at a grave, okay? Even if the intention is to recite. No, do not put it there. It's okay to perfume it, to put some, good odor to it. It's okay to kiss it, the Mus'haf. We mentioned this, and this is actually, we're saying it's okay because it was reported about some of the Sahaba, Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl radiallahu anhu. He used to kiss the Mus'haf and say, Kalamu Rabbi, Kalamu Rabbi, right? So it's okay. Why didn't we say it's Sunnah? Because it was not famous among the Sahaba, right? Like this one, like some of the Sahaba did it, but most of them did it. They did not do it. So it's okay.
Some people, when it falls on the ground or something, they pick it up and
And this is form of respect. This form of respect.
Was it done in the time of the Prophet?
I told you, Ikrimah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, told you Ikrimah used to kiss it without a reason, right? So it's okay. As we mentioned, it's permissible to put the dots and harakat to preserve it from mispronunciation. And it's also permissible to mark the juz and the surahs and the name of ayahs and so on. What if a Mus'haf gets torn or worn out or something like that? What do you do?
Burn it. You burn it?
Yeah, you can do one of two things. Either burn it or bury it.
Bury it.
Yeah, just dig and bury it, okay? And if it gets contaminated with impurities, either wash it or burn it.
You said it's permissible to write the juz and the harakat and stuff, but they didn't, like Uthman didn't do
No,
that,
they didn't do that.
So how is it not a bid'ah?
Why is it a bid'ah?
Because it's alaykum sunnati wa sunnati al-khulafa ar-rashidin. The
Yeah.
khulafa didn't do it.
Yeah, but where is the bid'ah here?
It's a new thing that wasn't done.
Where is the bid'ah? Where is the bid'ah?
It's a new thing.
What's the difference? Yeah, what's the difference between this and marking the page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4?
Both of them would be bid'ah.
No, no.
Why not?
No, this is only just for organization, nothing more.
Yeah, but still.
No, this is bid'ah doesn't work that way. This is bid'ah doesn't work that way. You're not worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by writing this is good number 1. No, you're not doing that. Okay, now I want to divide the Quran on 30 days, which is some kind of it's a sunnah in a way, to read every 30 days. So divide it. 30 good. Where shall I start on myself? Stop.
Sure, if you did that verbally or yourself, but if you write it down on the
no. This is not a bid'ah. This is bid'ah doesn't work that way. Okay. So what are some virtues of Quran and reciting Quran? We're going to mention some hadith and then we're going to mention the rulings regarding Quran itself. Okay. عن أبي أمامة رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول اقرأوا القرآن فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه رواه مسلم. Read the Quran, for it will come as an intercessor for its reciters on the day of resurrection. Okay. This translation might be a little bit not accurate, because usually اقرأوا also have the meaning of memorize. It's not only just read, also memorize, okay? And, okay? Yeah. Okay. Another question. How will the Quran come? فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه. It will come as an intercessor. How will the Quran come? I'm not talking about the sheep. What is coming? Now, Al-Quran, Kalam Allah Azza wa Jal. And every one of us reads Quran. What is coming for you on the Day of Judgment?
Allah will say, oh, you will not be getting punished. The Quran is the words of Allah. So Allah will speak.
No, we said the Quran is coming. What is coming? Your good deeds. Your good deeds. Your reciting Quran, recitation is good deed. A good deed. This good deed gets manifested in something that comes to you. Okay? Now see, on the Day of Judgment, things that are like materialistics or meanings go into like interchange. Things like death. There's nothing, you can't hold death, right? But death will come on the Day of Judgment in a form of a sheep that will get slaughtered, right? Like the death will die, right?
But don't we have to like take the meaning of the hadith and like not put our word? Because how did you get that like, translation? Can we just like
what will come? لأصحابه.
Take straight.
لأصحابه. لأصحابه.
Because if it says the
for its reciters. For its reciters. I'm telling you the meaning. It's from the hadith. For its reciters.
Yeah, but doesn't it mean that the Quran will be an intercessor? Can we just take the meaning?
What is the Quran? Your recitation. The Quran is the Qur'an, the recitation that you recite.
But where does the good deeds come from?
From reciting. Okay. Yeah. Okay. عن نواس بن سمعان رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول يؤتى يوم القيامة بالقرآن وأهله الذين كانوا يعملون به في الدنيا تقدمه سورة البقرة وآل عمران تحاجان عن صاحبهما. I heard the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is reported by Imam Muslim. I heard the message of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, the Quran and its people who applied it will be brought on the day of the resurrection, preceded with the Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran, arguing on behalf of those who applied them. And Uthman radiallahu anhu قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. رواه البخاري. The best among you is the one who learns the Quran and teaches it. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. When we mention the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, you say it, الصلاة عليه الصلاة والسلام, and just do not run it on your mind. Say it. Use your tongue and mouth. عن عثمان عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Move your mouth.
Good deeds are supposed to be between us and Allah, so like, we should say it quietly.
If you don't move your tongue, you're not saying anything. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الذي يقرأ القرآن وهو ماهر به مع السفرة الكرام البررة والذي يقرأ القرآن ويتتعتع فيه وهو عليه شاق له أجران. متفق عليه. This is reported by Bukhari and Muslim. The one who is proficient in recitation of the Quran will be with the honorable and obedient angels. And he who recites the Quran and finds it difficult to recite, doing his best to recite, will have two rewards, meaning one reward for the recitation and the reward for the struggle that he is facing. عن أبي موسى الأشعري رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل المؤمن الذي يقرأ القرآن مثل الأترجة ريحها طيب وطعمها طيب ومثل المؤمن الذي لا يقرأ القرآن كمثل التمرة لا ريح لها وطعمها حلو ومثل المنافق الذي يقرأ القرآن كمثل الريحانة ريحها طيب وطعمها مر ومثل المنافق الذي لا يقرأ القرآن كمثل الحنظلة ليس لها ريح وطعمها مر. And this is متفق عليه also. This is by Bukhari and Muslim. The believer who recites the Quran is like a citron whose fragrance is sweet or is good and whose taste is delicious. And a believer who does not recite the Quran is like a date fruit. Right? no fragrance, but has a good taste or a sweet taste. The hypocrite who recites the Quran is like a basil whose fragrance is sweet or fragrance is good.
Like a what?
A basil.
A basin.
Basil. Basil.
Basil. Okay, gotcha.
Okay? But its taste is bitter. Like you take a leaf of basil and chew on it, you find it bitter, but it smells nice. And the hypocrite who doesn't recite the Quran is like a Hanzala is it was translated Kenneth, is some kind of fruit which no smell and no taste, like it's bad both ways. So this is the example, or this is how the hypocrite is, which the hypocrite who doesn't recite the Quran. Okay. عن عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إن الله يرفع بهذا القرآن إن الله يرفع بهذا الكتاب أقواما ويضع آخرين. رواه Muslim. This is reported by Imam Muslim that verily Allah elevates some people with this Quran and abases others. Right? And you can see this is actually in dunya and in akhirah. Even in dunya. Some people who you would never hear about. No, you wouldn't he might be in a very small, tiny village in Allah knows where, and then with the Quran, he becomes an imam. Like people all over the world try to hear him and want to hear his recitation and learn from him, right? This is in dunya, and akhirah أكبر درجات وأكبر تفضيلا. Like more rewards and more preferences are given in akhirah. عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا حسد إلا في اثنتين رجل آتاه الله القرآن فهو يقوم به آناء الليل وآناء النهار ورجل آتاه الله مالا فهو ينفقه آناء الليل وآناء النهار. This is also متفق عليه, also by Bukhari and Muslim. And envy is justified in regard of two types of people only. A man whom Allah has given the knowledge of the Quran, so he recites it during the night and during the day, and a man whom Allah has given wealth, so he spends from it during the night and during the day. Of course, in the sake of Allah, like not spending it on, what. عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من قرأ حرفا من كتاب الله فله حسنة والحسنة بعشر أمثالها لا أقول ألف لام ميم حرف ولكن ألف حرف ولام حرف وميم حرف. This is supported by Imam al-Tirmidhi, who said حديث حسن صحيح. Whoever recites a letter from the book of Allah, he will be credited with a good deed. This is where the good deeds come from. And a good deed gets a tenfold reward. I do not say that Alif Lam Mim is one letter, but it's Alif is a letter, Lam is a letter, and Mim is a letter. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما. Why رضي الله عنهما? رضي الله عنهما. Why we say رضي الله عنهما?
Both of them.
Yeah, who are they? Who are both of them? Yes.
رضي الله عن ابن عباس ورضي الله عن عباس.
Yes, Allah barik fi, because him and his father both are Sahaba. Say when we say عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما, like we said Allah عن Abdullah and his father Umar, right? And ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الذي ليس في جوفه شيء من القرآن كالبيت الخرب. رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن صحيح. Also reported by Imam Tirmidhi, and said this is sound authentic or good authentic hadith. He who doesn't memorize any part of the Quran is like a ruined house, like an empty house, right? وعن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يقال لصاحب سبحان الله, the text get mixed here. عن عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص رضي الله عنهما عن النبي again عن عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص رضي الله عنهما. عبد الله إذا صحابي عند عمرو إذا صحابي رضي الله عنهما. عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يقال لصاحب القرآن اقرأ وارتقي ورتل كما كنت ترتل في الدنيا فإن منزلتك عند آخر آية تقرأها. رواه أبو داود والترمذي وقال حديث حسن صحيح. This is also reported by Abu Dawood and Tirmidhi, who said it's a good authentic hadith. The one who was devoted to the Quran will be told on the day of the resurrection, recite and ascend, like in the ranks, as you used to recite when you were in the world or in the dunya. Your rank would be at the last ayah you recite. Okay? So now we'll go to some rulings and
Really quick, on the good deeds thing, that the Quran is going to be your good deeds. The hadith that you mentioned where Surah Al-Baqarah and Surah Al-Imran are arguing for the thing, is that the good deeds of Surah Al-Baqarah and the good deeds of Al-Imran?
okay. كلام الله عز وجل كلام الله عز وجل ليس مخلوق. It's not a creation. It's His attribute. Okay? Your good deeds can come and transform and see and move, and this is because there's something like ultimately it's something like your deed itself. Your good deeds are مخلوق, are created, right? كلام الله عز وجل is not مخلوق. One word. Okay? Like there's no ifs. Okay? So what would come and move and see and get disconnected and maybe hold you or talk with you and so on, this is your good deed.
Just because Kalam Allah is eternal, it's not makhluk,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean it can't come and speak and stuff. Where do you say that it can't?
Is this ijtihad or is this like part of the hadith? Is this ijtihad or part of the hadith?
I'm telling you the meaning. I said حجان عن صاحبهما. What is صاحبهما?
Owners.
Yeah. Okay. This is what your recitation come from. This is what happened. Okay. When I say that in some athar and some ahadith that this person so and so and this is I'm your recitation doing so and so, and then your recitation would come in a form of a good man or nice looking person and so on. So it's shown in other hadith. Okay.
Sure, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
It's your recitation personified, not
Yeah.
necessarily good deeds.
Your recitation is your good deed.
But what's going to actually be talking is the recitation.
No,
like
yeah, your recitation is your good deed. As I told you, like meanings get personified on the day of judgment, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Our recitation is the words of Allah.
Yeah, you recite the words of Allah with your own voice.
Yeah. Our recitation is the one that's going to be testifying.
Your recitation, you recite Allah's words with your own voice. The Prophet ﷺ said, زينوا القرآن بأصواتكم. Like make the Quran beautiful with your own voices, right? The Quran is كلام الله عز وجل. However it's written, however it's said, however it's heard, it is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your deeds are your deeds, right?
Yeah, I think it's a jump to say the deeds thing, because for instance, there's the hadith where if you give the adhan, everything that hears you is going to be
Testify for you. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the good deeds of you relaying.
No, you're mixing things. Like we say, you just said now, everything that heard you,
yeah,
will testify.
Yeah, so just like when it says the recitation is going to testify, the recitation,
Yeah.
we don't have to say like make.
I told you it came in other athar that this personification is your good deed. I'm your recitation of Quran.
Is it a Sahih hadith?
And there are a lot of other hadith. I don't remember the exact wording, but it's mentioned a lot of other. Okay, so rulings and etiquette with Quran. The first thing, believing that Quran is Allah's words, letters and meanings. The Quran is Allah's words. Okay, however it's written, however it's said, however it's heard, it's Allah's words. Okay. I don't want to get in detail in this thing, but just know that the Quran is Allah's words. It's not what you call it. You're not mentioning what Allah said. No, those are the actual words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, it's not makhluk. It's not created. It's Allah's attribute. Okay. And this is like Ahl Sunnah don't argue about that Quran is Kalamullah Azza wa Jal. Yes, of course, there might be some, discussion in some fine details, but Al-Quran is Kalamullah Azza wa Jal. Like those who said it's makhluk are either the Mu'tazila or the Jahmiyyah, wal-'iyadhu billah. Right?
Didn't Abu Hanifa at one point say that?
It was reported, but what is known for Imam Abu Hanifa and what is clear, whether it's in Tahawiyya or in Fiqh al-Akbar, no. Actually, that if someone said that Quran is makhluk, is a kafir. This is the correct reporting about Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala. Remember, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala is from the Tabi'een. He's from the Tabi'een. He met some of the Sahaba. Okay? So this is the first thing, the belief of the Quran, that Quran is Kalamullah Azza wa Jal. This is the first thing. And it's his attribute, not a creation of his. Second thing is loving and exalting the Quran. Right? Third thing, to believe what was mentioned in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what mentioned is truth. And another thing is following the orders of Quran and instructions and avoiding what was forbidden in the Quran. Right? And what Quran prohibits. Avoid those. Another thing is believing that the Quran rulings are the best rulings and there are no better rulings. And of course that the Quran abrogated anything that was before that. Anything that was before Quran, whether it's in the Injil or Torah or anything, that became abrogated with the Quran. The Quran came either said, affirmed the information or abrogated it, and something they would not mention, like Quran didn't address those. Some matters that were not addressed. And so though like they didn't say that, or especially think that Quran mentioned that this was, a regulation or a teaching for the people before us, but it doesn't explicitly say that this is your ruling too, that you should do the same. This is like this scholars discuss. Does this mean that the same ruling still applies for us or not? This is like scholars have different opinion about that. But you don't go and search the Torah and say, okay, it's written here that you should do so. No, you don't do that. This is not a credible source. Okay? And of course, the Prophet ﷺ told that whatever the people of the book tells us, do not, accept and do not reject. People of the book, like if someone, a Christian or a Jew, tells you, about Ahlul Kahf, this is the story of them, their story. And we don't have a credible source. You don't tell them, no, you're a liar, and they say, oh, really, this is good that you know. No. It's just, a piece of information. Okay. You don't, hold, tight to it. You don't believe in it as if you believe in what's mentioned in the Quran or the Hadith. And you don't reject it, because it might be true and might be false. Like 50-50, right? Maybe. Okay. Another thing for Quran is learning the Quran and how to read the Quran and what are the meanings of the Quran. What are the teachings and the rules of the Quran? Like, put the effort to learn how to read the Quran. Okay? We mentioned tajweed before. Put the effort in learning tajweed. Put the effort in learning the meaning of the Quran. I'm not saying put the effort in reading, those extended books. No. Know at least the meaning of the Quran. Right?
So everything you listed, except for like learning the tajweed and stuff, and obeying the commands, if you don't do them, that's kufr, right? For every other thing that you listed.
How are you getting those leaps?
Go ahead, go through them one by one. You'll see.
Yeah, there's not the topic. There's not the topic. Yeah, of course, if you don't believe that the Quran is Kalamullah, this is kufr wal-'iyadhu billah. If you disrespect the Quran, is kufr wal-'iyadhu billah. But this is not the topic that we're discussing, okay? The other thing is defending the Quran against the extremist distortions and the attacks of contestations of the atheists, right? There's something that's take it upon you. Learn the Quran, know its meaning, and then defend it, right? Switching it a little bit. Now, memorizing the Quran, the whole Quran, okay? It's mustahab by consensus. It's recommended by consensus to memorize the whole Quran. Okay? Memorizing the whole Quran and preserving it is a collective or a communal obligation. Like there is a fard kifai that the nation needs to have enough people memorizing the Quran. Okay? And this is also by consensus. This is ijma'. Nobody disagrees. Okay? On both. That the Muslim nation as a nation needs to have enough people reciting the Quran. Like memorizing the Quran, let's say tomorrow there are no prints, we have it preserved. Okay? And the other consensus is that it's recommended to memorize the whole Quran.
What do you mean by consensus? Do you mean
إجماع
الصحابة؟
إجماع العلماء العلم كلهم.
علماء
إجماع. Okay, so sometimes إجماع happens, and when it happens, it happens. إجماع doesn't get
You
abrogated.
can have new إجماع, like fatwas إجماع today.
You can have it, but how we're going to apply it, this is another topic. Like let's say, for example, there is a new transaction. Any transaction, okay? If you can get all the scholars of the nation and they agree that there's halal or haram, then this is ijma'. How we're going to do it, this is a challenge, right?
Didn't Imam Ahmed say that there's no ijma' because you can't know?
No, Imam Ahmed said من ادعى الإجماع فقد كذب.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you can't possibly
No.
know all.
No. Imam Ahmed rahmahullah, when this word from him, he was replying to a claim. No, he was replying to a claim by the Jahmiyyah. They say that no, this ijma' that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't get attributed by this. No. If you're saying this is kadhib, this is kadhib. Imam Ahmed rahmahullah ta'ala uses ijma' and depends on it. Like for example, one of the main Imam Ahmed rahmahullah ta'ala, for example, said الدم نجس, like دم المسفوح نجس, like flowing blood is najis, بالإجماع. And he depended on ijma' to affirm this ruling. Okay?
When he said ijma', because I know Abdullah ibn Mubarak, he says ijma' is Abu Bakr or Umar.
Yeah. Again, the problem that your consistent problem that you're singling out some text. Okay?
I'm sure that there's اختلاف on what ijma' is, whether it's ijma' al-Sahaba or ijma'
Okay.
al-Ulama.
Those who limit the ijma' to ijma' al-Sahaba only are the Zahiriyya. Only. Okay?
So Ibn Mubarak was wrong?
No, Ibn Bakr is not Zahiri. And this is not the madhab of Ibn Mubarak. Again, I'm telling you Ibn Mubarak, you're taking a single text or a single saying. Okay? This is not, you're singling out a text or a saying. This is the problem. You need to look at things collectively.
Don't laugh, guys.
Okay. Whoever memorizes the Quran or some of the surah, then he needs to keep up reviewing it to avoid forgetting. Okay? عن أبي موسى الأشعري رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال تعاهدوا هذا القرآن فوالذي نفسي بيده فوالذي نفس محمد بيده له أشد تفلتا من الإبل في عقولها عليه الصلاة والسلام. And this is reported by Bukhari and Muslim. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, read the Quran or revise the Quran regularly by the one in whose hand Muhammad's soul is. It escapes from the memory faster than a camel does from its tying ropes. Okay? If you memorize the surah 2, 10, and you don't memorize them, you will forget. You will forget it. No way around it. Okay? And this is actually one of, it was said that might be then one of the means, وَإِنَّهُ لَكِتَابٌ عَزِيز. Okay? You know, Aziz is someone who is not only dear. You know, you cannot touch this person. He's a Aziz in Qawmi. He's like reputable and he has, high rank in Qawmi. Okay? High rank. Like higher in rank.
Yeah, you said the word after, I didn't understand.
In Qawmi, in his people, among his people.
Oh, in
Okay? Okay.
Honored, brave.
Or honored or something like that. Imagine if there is a person who is, has high status and you're just neglecting him. He will not run after you.
Yeah.
Right? See, again, and those people are not high status or anything. But see, if people saw celebrities, what they do?
They flock towards them.
Yeah, they will just, if they will just start, maybe licking their feet. Right? No, some people do that. Some people just throw themselves from a balcony or something just to meet this person, right? Yeah. And some of them are just not worth the dirt, right? So the Quran, if you neglect it, it will go, it will leave you. Okay? عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إنما مثل صاحب القرآن كمثل الإبل المعقلة إن عاهد عليها أمسكها وإن أطلقها ذهبت. متفق عليه. This is also reported by Bukhari and Muslim that the parable of the one who knows the Quran by heart is as the parable of an owner of hobbled camel. If he remains vigilant, he will retain it, and if he neglects it, it will go away. Okay? Reciting Quran is better than all other forms of dhikr. Okay? However, doing the assigned dhikr to certain times or places is better than reciting the Quran at that time. For example, dhikr after prayer, after you finish prayer, there's some adhkar that you need to say or that you recommended to say, right? Those adhkar at this specific point, it's better to say those adhkar, not recite Quran, right?
There is Quran after Salah too, like the Quran.
Yeah. Yeah, but this is better than saying another. Like, it's better to recite, for example, Ayat al-Kursi than recite the Surah al-Baqarah.
Oh, yeah,
Right?
Sure.
Also, it's mandatory to memorize what's mandatory in the prayers. What you have to recite in the prayers is mandatory to memorize, right? Basically, it's Al-Fatiha, okay, number one, and the surah, any surah.
In terms of reciting after prayer, some masajid I've been to, they recite Surah Al-Fatiha after every prayer. Is this?
I haven't heard that. I don't know.
That's a bit.
Do not be fast in
They
saying
say
this.
Al-Fatiha, and then everyone recites Surah Al-Fatiha, then say Subhanallah, and everyone starts saying Subhanallah.
What I'm saying, do not be fast in ruling the bid'ah. I haven't heard about this, anything about the Fatiha. I don't know it. I haven't heard about it. Okay. Again, it's mandatory to recite the Fatiha in the prayer, right? Like, by the way, I mentioned this before. Even for Hanafis, they differentiate between. They say that reciting Quran is a fard in the Salah, and then reciting al-Fatiha, sometimes they say it's sunnah, and sometimes they say it's wajib. But the bottom line is that if you intentionally leave it, you invalidate your Salah. Okay? But scholars differentiate between what is fard and what is wajib, or what's fard and what is sunnah in prayer, right? In terms if you missed it by mistake or something like that.
Does the Imam's recitation count for you?
Yeah. This is for the majority of scholars, okay?
So, like for Hanafi, they don't have to recite it, then they can just.
Hanafi, Maliki, Hanafi, Maliki, and Hanbali.
They can just be silent and let that.
Yeah. If Imam recites and you say, I mean, that's it.
Even if in silent rakats.
In silent you read.
Third rakat maghrib.
In silent you read. Again, this is some little bit of differences between madhab, but the majority say that if the Imam is reciting and you're hearing his recitation, that's enough for you. Okay, and we said Al-Fatiha is mandatory, and another surah, any other surah, right? Why? Because you need to recite in the Salah, right? Especially, like, again, some madhab, like Maliki, said that reciting the surah is a sunnah, but if you miss it, you make sujood sahw. If you don't do sujood sahw, if you miss the sujood sahw, if it's a short time, then you do it. If it's a long time, you invalidate your salah, repeat it.
For sunnah.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Okay. No, it has some some details in it, but again we say that because in this situation, in this context, they differentiate between a sunnah wal fadila, and they even differentiate between sunnah and sunnah khalifa, like sunnah and a light sunnah. Okay. Anyways, this is another discussion. This is the fiqh of salah. But anyways, so Al-Fatiha and the surah. Okay.
And for the second surah, is it mandatory or is it mustahab?
Most of the scholars say mustahab. Okay, but if you miss it, do you make sujood sahw or not? This is another topic. Okay. Okay. It's recommended to recite the Quran, the whole Quran, every week. Okay, every 7 days. Reciting it every 3 days is also good. Okay, like 10 juz a day. Okay.
Not more than that. Not more than that.
We're getting to that. عن عبد الله بن عمرو أنه قال يا رسول الله في كم أقرأ القرآن؟ في كم أقرأ القرآن؟ قال في شهر. قال إني أقوى من ذلك. And he repeated, and the Prophet ﷺ told him, okay, اقرأه في 7. قال إني أقوى من ذلك. قال اقرأه في 3. قال إني أقوى من ذلك. قال لا يفقه من قرأه في أقل من 3. رواه أبو داود. So Abu Dawud reported that Ibn Amr asked the Prophet ﷺ, in how many days should I complete the recitation of the whole Quran? And the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, in 1 month. He said, I'm more energetic, or I'm stronger than that. I'm more energetic to complete in a period less than this. So he kept repeating and asking these words and lessening the period until he said, complete it in 7 days. Then he said, I'm more energetic to complete in less. He said, okay, who he finishes the recitation of the Quran in less than 3 days does not understand it. Okay? So this is the lower limit, the 3 days. Okay? Okay, so this is a normal situation, this is a normal case. Normal case, last 3, the least 3, the maximum is?
30,
No,
40.
40. Okay, the narrations became, the maximum is 40. So he finished reciting it every 40 days. Okay, of course, if someone is traveling, if someone is sick, if someone has something happening in his life and he can't do this, no blame on them, right?
So we're sinful if we don't recite the
I
Quran?
didn't say sinful.
I know, but
I didn't say that. Sometimes you're blamed to leave the sunnah, right? Sometimes you get blamed if you might not get sayyat, you might not get bad deeds, but you're blamed to leave some of the sunnahs, not every sunnah.
by Allah blames you.
Yeah, it's something like, I want to phrase it that you understand. See, if someone leaves the sunnah because it takes it lightly and it doesn't bother, yeah, this might be a sin. Okay? If someone doesn't do the sunnah at all, this can be a sin. Okay? But, like people, when the man asked the Prophet, what do I have in the praise? He told him 5 praising day and night. And he said, okay, I will not do other than that. He told him, okay, if he will be successful if he do this same with the salah and siyam and hajj and so on, right? But if you intentionally leave the sunnah because you're taking it lightly or you're just, not interested and so on, this might qualify as a sin. But this as a whole thing. If for example today I'm very tired, I'm not going to pray the sunnah after salah. Okay. Yeah, there is some kind of, leeway. Yeah. But so you know what? I'm not interested and I'm not praying any sunnah at all. I'm not, not any sunnah, I'm not praying Salat al-Eid, I'm not praying, Taraweeh, I'm not praying any watr, I'm not praying anything. I'm just doing the bare minimum. Anything that the Prophet did, like how they say, I'm not interested.
Isn't that what that guy said to the Prophet? He said, you'll be successful?
No. The Prophet told him, the guy told the Prophet, I'm going to commit to what you told me. I'm going to do those only. The Prophet told him, okay, if you commit to those and keep, to those, you'll be successful.
Yeah. The rest.
Yeah.
You might still do others. Yeah.
Okay? So the least amount of days is 3, the maximum is 40. Okay?
Where did the 40 come from?
Another narration. But the Prophet started with 30.
Okay.
So 30 is like what is the... See, 30 they recommended. 7 days is what was done by most of the Sahaba. A lot of Sahaba actually stick to the 7. They will finish, recite. And 7, it's like what? Like around 4 juz, give or take. Right? Like 30 divided by 7 is what? 4.5 around, right? So it's like 90 pages from our print. Okay. Reading the whole Quran less than 3 days is okay to be done sometimes, or at the times or places of virtue, like Ramadan, the Laylatul Qadr, Mecca for a visitor, and so on. This was done by some of the Sahaba. You know that Uthman radiallahu anhu recited the whole Quran in the watr, in 1 rak'ah. Okay. We mentioned that it's disliked to finish reciting the whole Quran in more than 40 days. If this will lead to you forgetting the Quran, it becomes prohibited. Okay? If you're going to read in more than 40 days and this will make you forget what you memorized, no. Then this becomes prohibited because you need to keep what you memorize.
This is memory, to memorize. They're just reading the Quran.
If someone memorizes the Quran, someone memorizes the Quran. And if you do not repeat it every 40 days, he's going to forget it, then it becomes prohibited. Okay?
By prohibited, you mean like whenever we memorize the surah, then we have like not forget it?
Yeah, you shouldn't forget it.
What happens if we do?
revise it and remember.
I meant like, since you said that it's prohibited, like we get sins.
Yeah, see, there were some hadith narrated that those are some of the big sins that someone memorizes a surah and then forgets it, but those hadiths are not strong. Okay, it's recommended to say isti'adha before reciting the Quran. Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. So what if you're reciting the Quran and then you stopped for a reason, like you're coughing, you're sneezing, something like that? Then the first isti'adha is still valid. Like you don't need to repeat it. But if you stop reading for a reason, okay, now I'm going to stop now to, for example, go get a cup of water, go use the washroom, go whatever, and then starting again, then it's recommended to say isti'adha again. Okay?
For me, Wallahu a'lam, but whenever if I talk, then I say it again. If I don't talk, then
again, like, see, this is.
It's like if I respond to someone salam or something like that, I'll say it again.
You don't need to, because this is not considered a break. It's not. Still the same recitation. You didn't start a new recitation. Same as if you just do and then say Alhamdulillah. You don't say A'udhu billahi and continue.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't do that. Okay. It's like to finish reading Quran. This is something reported about some of the Salaf. That's like to finish reading Quran in summer mornings and winter's evenings, like after Maghrib. Why? This was mentioned by some of the Salaf. There's no hadith in this. But they said that we heard that whoever finishes Quran at a time, if he finishes a time in the day, Malaika would make istighfar for him to the rest of the day. And in the night will make it istighfar to the dawn. Okay? So in summers, the days are longer. So if you finish early in the day, you get this to the end of the day. And in winter, the light is longer. If you finish early in the night, you get this istighfar to the end of the night, right?
Playing it smart.
Yeah, play smart, right? Okay. Again, also, it's like to make dua when you finish Quran, and even gather your wife and kids and make dua. And this was done by Anas radiallahu anhu. He used to, when he finished reciting the Quran, he would call his family, he would call his kids and so on, and start making dua. Okay?
Did he like say that he saw the Prophet do that?
This is a Sahabi.
I know.
This is a Sahabi, and this is the Khadim of the Nabi alayhi salam. This person served the Prophet 10 years. Okay?
But that doesn't mean that the Prophet did it.
Maybe not directly, but he prohibited from them. Like he knew that what they're doing.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay? Another thing, to beautify the voice when reading. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول ما أذن الله لشيء ما أذن لنبي حسن الصوت يتغنى بالقرآن يجهر به. متفق عليه. This is also reported by Bukhari and Muslim. Allah does not listen too attentively to anything as He listens to the recitation of the Quran by a prophet who recites it well with a melodious and audible voice. Okay? Also, عن البراء بن عازب رضي الله عنهما قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قرأ في العشاء بالتين والزيتون فما سمعت أحدا أحسن صوتا منه صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is also متفق عليه. The Bara said, I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم reciting Surah Al-Tini wal-Zaytun during the Isha prayer. I have never heard anyone reciting it at a more beautiful voice than him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? Some of course, again, this is another discussion, but again, the other hadith, ليس منا من لم يتغنى بالقرآن. There's not from us, there's not from us who doesn't, beautify his voice and make it melodious, beautiful voice when reciting the Quran. And then this is one translation of the hadith. Okay? And actually this is the most of the scholars said so, that there's something actually recommended to make your voice good and beautiful when you recite Quran. Some scholars said no, this is not the meaning of the hadith. Said the taghanna, he'd make it from al-ghina, from being, just, no, not rich. It just suffices. Make it like it's satisfied on. They think that Quran suffices him, like not search other ways, search of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, both meanings are right, but Allah and the meaning of the make it beautify your voice is stronger. Okay.
Isn't there another one that says, "He is not one of us who does not recite the Quran in a pleasant voice"?
This is what I just said.
So,
He said melodious.
Again, melodious.
Why do they avoid saying like singing? In the translations, like they avoid saying singing.
Okay, this is a problem with the translation. If I tell you singing, you might understand singing like singing, which is not accurate.
Just because some people might misunderstand.
Yeah.
Oh, the Quran is a song.
Yeah,
It's not a song.
yeah. Because again, even in Arabic, even if you're going to beautify your voice, you're not allowed to make it in a way that people sing. Like people have like there is a like singing is an industry,
Yeah.
right? And they have their own,
Maqamat.
not even the maqamat. They have their own way. They have their own thing. Like again, in singing, you might bend the words, right? You might add a letter, remove a letter, so on. So if it comes to this way, no, it's prohibited. Okay. Some of the good manners do not read Quran in a loud voice where people are sitting or people are sleeping. But imagine like you're going to some person is sleeping and then you sit beside and then you start trying and he might wake up and depending on this person and how patient he is, he might insult you and insult yeah. Allah he might be actually excused, might be still sleeping, right? But again, do not go in this inconvenience with Quran. It's okay to read standing, sitting, laying down, walking, riding. Okay, of course, the best form is to sit facing the Qibla because it's a form of ibadah, but it's okay to do it walking, lying down, sitting, whatever. Okay, it's okay to continue reading when you invalidate wudu.
where's the evidence for facing the Qibla though?
This general ruling that that scholars mentioned that any form of ibadah that's intended by itself is good to face the Qibla.
What do you mean by intended by itself?
Like wudu, like reciting Quran, things like that. Okay?
I was thinking about this last year. I was eating, and I thought I'm going to face the Qibla because this is ibadah. I said Bismillah, and I wanted ibadah as if like.
I haven't heard that. I haven't heard
But
that.
then I stopped myself because it's like this might be bid'ah.
No, I haven't heard that.
It's
Okay.
a general rule. It should apply to any form of ibadah, right?
But eating can be, you can get rewarded for eating, but you don't. Okay, so ibadah is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, sometimes they say that defined ibadah is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered with, that by mind or by habit you want to do. Right? Like, see, if you are a person who's not, like, assume there's some person who's not a Muslim and doesn't know Islam. No one would go and stand up and start, standing and making ruwa and walking up and making sujood. No one would do that, right? No one will start, giving specific amounts of his money for, or start, when he's making an udhiyah, is going to go specific animals with specific ages. Those are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put, strict guidelines for, right? Okay.
Even like the kuffar at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when they slaughtered an animal, they still slaughtered it in the same method. That was the ibadah way,
Yeah, because the kuffar were still had traces of the deen of Ibrahim and Ismail. The kuffar were marrying and had girlfriends. Were making ghusl from janaba, right? Like, see, after Ghazwat Badr, when they got defeated, what did Abu Sufyan do? He was kafir at the time. He took a vow. He said, I will not make ghusl from janaba till I shed some blood from the Muslims. What does this mean? That he's not going to get close to his wife or his, anything, and so he doesn't need to make ghusl from janaba. And he's a kafir. Okay? Again, when they wanted to rebuild the Kaaba or renovate the Kaaba, when it got, fell from the flood, they said, okay, we're going to put the money, but this needs to be clean money. We're not going to get any money from gambling, any money from riba, any money from, alcohol, from other things. We're going to avoid all this. So they knew some stuff, okay? They still had the deen of Ismail. Yes, they tampered with the, made up some stuff. They, changed a lot of things, but still there is something.
The fitrah wasn't completely covered.
The fitrah, and there is things like some of the rulings were still there. Okay. Okay, it's okay. Yeah, we said if you invalidate rule, it's still okay to recite. Of course, it's better to be on a safe rule, but it's okay. Nothing good in there. It's okay to recite if you invalidate rule. Or if you have your clothes or body have impurities, like let's say if your hand has some impurities, your clothes has some impurities, it's still okay to recite. Okay, as long as you're not touching it, not touching a mushaf with impurity, right? Of course, do not recite in dirty places. Like don't go like in a. Yeah, or something. No, even like what they call it, the place where they dump the garbage. The dumpster or not the dumpster, even the land or landfill or something like that, right? Don't go there and start reciting. Or and this was mentioned about, and this is actually an etiquette that some people might miss. If you're going to pass gas or if you're going to fart, stop, finish, ready for yourself, then start reciting again, right? And it's prohibited to recite on a state of janaba. Okay.
Does the place where camels stay count as one of the?
See, this place, it might not be najis, but this place was the Prophet prohibited praying there, right? And said, and why they're using the Prophet prohibited this? A discussion, and does it prohibit like if you pray this invalid or not? This old another, but the Prophet discouraged us or prohibited us from praying there. So I would still stay away from there, yeah. But if someone is like walking the camels or riding camels, still he can recite, right? The Prophet prayed sunnah on the camel. Okay, again, it's disliked to read loudly with the janazah. Like the janazah is moving and someone reciting the Quran loudly. No, there's something disliked. Okay. Reading from Mus'haf is recommended. Why?
Because you're bound to make less mistakes.
This is something, but some people have their memory is better than Mus'haf. Like the Mus'haf might have a mistake, but the memory won't. But still, it's better to read from the Mus'haf. Why? Because you're using more senses. You're using your voice, you're using your tongue, and using your eye. Right? You're putting more effort in it. And also, it's like to listen to someone who is reciting. Reciting the Quran is also recommended. See, we came back to this thing. I should have mentioned earlier. It's disliked to read by melodies, like the way people sing, right? Imam Ahmad rahimahullah hated it and mentioned that it's an innovation. He said this is a bid'ah, right? If following this is disliked. If following the melody, or following this rhyme, or following whatever it is, leads to changing the letters, or the letter movement, or harakat, then it becomes prohibited, right? Another etiquette is not use Quran instead of normal talking.
Did you repeat that?
Not use Quran instead of normal talking. So, for example, we're going to some place and you want someone to enter. "Udkhulu alayhim al-bab." No, don't use it. Quran is not for this, right? And do not read it in markets where people raise their voices and do not listen to what's recited. Some people, when you go to market and people are just shouting at their, merchandise and saying this for $2, this for $1. Do not go there and start reciting Quran. No one will hear you, right? One of the last thing that we want to mention this: do not explain or interpret Quran without following the language or what was narrated. It's mandatory to follow the companions' interpretation. Things that the Sahaba mentioned, follow that. Of course, if they disagree or if they have different opinions, you can choose from them, but you do not, you cannot just invent something new. Yeah, if for the tafsir, if they have like two opinions, you can't get a third or fourth, right? If it contradicts, because sometimes you can get a meaning that doesn't contradict it, it can be acceptable. Okay, I'm gonna mention 4 problematic subjects, but we're going to mention them quickly. I just want you to know, to hear this, have it in your back back of their mind. Okay. And we mentioned this before. We said a lot of scholars recommended recitation of Surah Yasin, and this is actually miscellaneous. Recommended the recitation of the Surah Yasin at the dying person. When the person is dying, it's recommended to recite there. And this was, as it was narrated in the hadith, recite Yasin at your dying people, right? And we mentioned this hadith is weak. Okay? Yeah. However, this hadith was supported by the deeds of some of the Salaf. Imam Ahmad rahmatullah mentioned that in the Musnad, that about one of the Sahaba, Ghutayf al-Ghafari, if I remember his name properly, that when he was dying, he was dying, and asked, does any one of you recite Yasin? Yes, then recite. And then he radiallahu anhu died at the ayah number 14. Okay. However, this is the opinion of the Hanafis, Shafi'is, and Hanbalis. Okay, and some of the late Malikis. Imam Malik didn't, like they said, it's not known, it's not common, we don't know that. Okay. The same scholars show that it's recommended to recite at the grave. You can go at the grave and recite. Okay. Why? Because it was narrated.
Yasin or just
in the Quran. Why? Because it's narrated as it was narrated or reported about Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, that he, in his will, he directed. He said, when I get buried, come and recite Al-Fatiha and the start of Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay? And there is also hadith reported about people who go to the grave and report Yasin. I don't know the authenticity of this hadith. However, this is Imam Malik rahmatullah disliked this too. He said, no, we don't know this. It's not something that was known. And a lot of Salaf didn't do that. Yeah, at the grave. At the grave, yeah. A lot of Salaf didn't do that. Okay? Imam Ahmad, there are two narrations about him. It seemed that at first he said no, this is not known. Then someone told him this narration about Abdullah ibn Umar, so he said okay, and then I accept. For the Shafi'is and Hanafis, they don't agree to this. They say yeah, you can recite. Okay.
There's a hadith where it says that when Prophet says, pray in your homes, don't make it like a graveyard.
Yep.
So,
the Prophet said, لا تجعلوا بيوتكم مقابر فإن الشيطان يفر من البيت الذي تقرأ فيه سورة البقرة. صحيح? And this is what Imam Malik depended on. Or people who saw the same opinion said yes, this is what the hadith indicates that. Okay, and again, this is for personally, do I think that this is stronger? Yeah, I think this is stronger. Okay, I think what Imam Malik said is stronger. Yeah, but again, there is a possibility for the others. Okay, and this is something important. Sometimes you can see, no, I'm going to follow this opinion. But this other opinion, yeah, I might not like it. I might not say I think it's weaker than the opinion that I'm following, but I understand where you're coming from. I understand your background. Where did you get this from? Okay. Reading Quran and gifting the reward to a deceased person. Okay, we have someone who died. I want to recite Quran and gift him the reward.
Is this where the concept of like a khatam comes from?
Yeah. Okay. Is this permissible, or is this the other region? Like they say, some brother died, and we said, okay, we're going to recite some Quran, just gift it to him. Okay.
Is that a bid'ah?
Hanafis and Hanbalis, and the late Malikis, like Hanafis, Hanbalis, and the people who came later from the Malikis said it's okay, and the reward, and the reward reaches him. Imam Ahmad rahmatullah also said something even more. He said any good deed that a person does and gives to a deceased person, it reaches him. Okay, and said this is what the narrations came with. Okay.
No, but I mean, like after every death they do it. It's now like a set thing. Just like every Friday saying Juma Mubarak. Some people every single Friday say Juma Mubarak.
Again. Sometimes you.
What?
I don't know how to say though, but I want to give you a nice example. I don't know. Anyway, but you're mixing stuff. Jumu'ah Mubarak, what's the problem with it?
If every single Friday you say it, just because it's Friday.
Because every single Friday is Mubarak. Friday is a day chosen day by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that make it Eid for Muslims.
Okay, so let's say I'm eating and I burp. Right? Yeah. And just once in a while I'll say Alhamdulillah because I'm thankful for the meal and what caused me to burp.
Yeah.
But if I say after every burp, Alhamdulillah,
no,
that's bid'ah, right?
No, it's not, yeah. Like there's something similar that to support you. Abdullah ibn Omar heard someone who sneezes and said, Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah, look cousin or look my nephew. Me too, I say Salah an Nabi alayhi salam a lot. I try to say, but in this position, it's only Alhamdulillah. Anyway, you made me forget what I was saying. But I'm glad that you're back. Anyways, so with Imam Ahmad says that any good deed that's being gifted to the deceased person reaches him. Okay? The popular opinion for the Shafi'is is no, that nothing of this reaches. Okay? Nothing reaches, okay? And, however, some of the rich Shafi'is says no, it also reaches, okay? What the Shafi'is depended on? Two things. The first thing is ayah, وَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. Surah Al-Najm, right? وَلَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. And the other thing, they depend on the hadith, إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنَ آدَمَ قَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ. Like if you die, your deed stops except for three. And we said, yeah, what did the other scholars say? We totally agree.
This is they consider part of Sadaqah Jariyah, like
Yeah, we totally agree. This is your deeds. Your deeds stop. Your deeds stop. We agree. You don't control. If you die, you can't ask. If you die, you can't control if someone makes sadaqah for you or not. You can't control if someone make dua for you or not. You can't control if someone yourself and present. You can't. You don't control anything. Your control ends. Yeah.
But then, like, if you have kids and you, when you were like trying to, like when you brought them up very well, and like.
Yeah. This is an ongoing good deed from you.
And it's like also
Yeah. So actually, this hadith actually meant the علم ينتفع به أو صدقة جارية أو ولد صالح يدعو له. Right? That we leave knowledge that being transmitted after you, or knowledge that keep passed on, or ongoing sadaqah, or a good child or good kid that will make dua for you. Right? Okay.
So you could say that the good child making dua for you, it's not in your control. It's not your deed. But then another person could say, no, it's because your deeds in the past of raising that person.
Yeah.
So.
Actually, in another hadith it said that وَوَلَدُهُ مِنْ عَمَلِهِ, like, and your children is from your deed. Okay? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mercy that if they are good and do good things, then you get rewarded. If they do bad things, if you taught them well, you're not blamed. If you actually encourage them to do bad stuff, then you get your share. Okay. Subhanallah, Ali left, and I added this point especially for him. So it's permissible to seek recovery or healing by Quran, and this is affirmed in the narrations. From that, what Bukhari and Muslim reported on the authority of Aisha radiallahu anha. She said, when the Prophet ﷺ had a complaint, he would blow on himself, ejecting saliva, reciting al-mu'awwidat, and wipe himself with his hand. She said, when he suffered from the pain of which he died, ﷺ, I would blow on him, ejecting saliva, like he would make this nafs, but he would use his own hand, ﷺ. Okay? In the narration of Muslim, on the Muslim narration, she said, when any of the members of the household of the Prophet ﷺ fell ill, Allah's Messenger ﷺ used to blow over him or over them, reciting mu'awwidhatain, and when he suffered from illness of which he died, I used to blow over him and rubbed his body with his hand, for his hand had greater barakah than mine. Okay, so alhamdulillah we took like an hour and 20 minutes, but alhamdulillah we finished this series. Inshallah we're going to start another series next time, inshallah. Do you have any questions, or you want to conclude?
We still have 15 minutes if you want to do more.
You have 15 minutes. I want to get the silence back. If you have questions, I will stay. If not, I will leave. We're good. جزاكم الله خيرا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Say.
I had one question. It was when you mentioned like taking hypothetically elephant poo and writing.
Yeah.
There's a very expensive coffee called kopi luwak, and it's the feces of a cat after they eat like a certain thing, and they make coffee out of it.
Yeah.
What like without
Well,
najasa-
see,
najasa or-
if it's a cat poop is najasa and you cannot eat it.
It's cat poop after they eat a specific nut or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
cat poop is
very
najasa. Yeah, I heard something about that. Cat poop is najasa, right? You cannot eat najasa. You cannot drink najasa, right? No, there are some crazy things in the world. Like I heard about, somewhere in Asia, where they boil eggs in the urine of small kids and say that this is something very, like a delicacy or something that very nutritious, something like that. No, people do. I don't know if you heard about those people who make beer out of the urine. Yeah. No, there are a lot of crazy things happening in the world. So,
But okay, so the urine. There's the hadith where it's like the people that were sickly in Medina.
this is a
they-
camel urine.
Camel urine and milk.
What is the difference between camel urine and an elephant urine? I sorry.
One is in the sunnah, one isn't.
No, what is the difference between a camel urine
One
and
is-
elephant urine?
One is a medicine, one is I don't know.
What is the difference between them?
I don't know.
Okay. What's the difference between an elephant and a camel?
They're different animals.
And
One is ruminant.
what's the difference between a camel and
One's a desert animal, one's a forest.
no? What's the difference between a camel and let's say a tiger or a wolf? What's the difference between them?
One's a ruminant, one's a predator.
One is edible and one's not. You can eat camel, you cannot eat an elephant, right?
Yeah, but we can eat elk. We can't eat elk.
You can eat elephant. Okay. So again, scholars have different opinions about urine in general. Some of them say that urine from an edible animal is tahir. Okay? And if this is the case, if it's tahir, you can drink it.
What about poop?
It's tahir too.
Really?
Okay?
Okay.
So scholars who said that, like Imam Ahmad rahmatullah said that the poop and urine from an edible animal that you would eat, like a cow, like a sheep, like something like that, is tahir. Okay? Good?
Yeah, no, it's good.
So-
I'm just thinking about because
so-
I have some chickens and
Yeah.
their poop is disgusting. You know?
Yeah, discussing another thing. Like your mucus is disgusting, right? Like imagine even if you sneeze and get something out of your nose, on your hand, you'll be disgusted and you'll go on washing it, right? Maybe with soap,
I'll
right?
watch it. I'm not disgusted by it.
Okay. If I do it too, you'll get disgusted, right? You'll hate me.
So
Right?
the elephant.
So there's
elephant
difference,
is
yeah, there's
carefully chosen.
Yeah, so there's the difference between the elephant and the camel. This is one opinion that when they say. Others said, okay, some scholars say that no, we actually say that's najasa because it's urine. But we say, see, this was a proven medicine. And then medicine can be used in things like in darurat, in necessities. Okay, they can use najasa as a medicine in necessities. Okay?
خاص بقطم العام.
No, don't just change things. Okay, that necessities permits like things that are impermissible in general gets permitted when there is a necessity, right? And those people who actually had their sickness was severe. It was not a light sickness, right? So they said, okay, then in this case you can drink from something that might be considered najasa.
They continued doing it until they were strong and healthy.
Yeah.
If it was a necessity, then maybe initially it was necessary.
Yeah,
then
but
they were
again, the hadith mentioned the milk and the urine.
Yeah.
So yeah, they started with and then get well fed with the milk. Like we were not with them, but and subhanallah, till this day, I think this is something that is still done in some places that they might get the urine of a camel and
Try it.
yeah, try it. Why not?
There's some people that drink their own urine.
Yeah,
What's the ruling on that?
you tell me.
Well, it's haram to eat another human, so
You tell urine. You own the people. Human urine is najis.
yeah.
One word.
I'm
Right?
saying if you're taking it from like the same understanding where if the animals halal, then the stuff is humans to eat are haram.
And the urine and feces of a human is najis. One word. There's no dispute around this, right? No dispute about this. Okay, but it happened some places, and it happened this year,
Yeah,
like in Gaza, right? Yeah, and then they still either drink your own urine or die. Then preserve your life. right? But you're going to just make your audience just because you can or just because you want to make a drink. No, right? Okay.
جزاك الله خير.
وإياكم، جزاكم الله خير. الحمد لله. السلام عليكم.